Hi, it's me, Lil. Now that my wings are no longer clipped, I'm flying high like the culture vulture I once was. I'm back out on the street, on Broadway, in the theater, seeing all the things, doing all the things. So I have lots to share today. We're going to go left stage with Lil as I talk about Rocky Horror Show on Broadway, and then Cats the Jellicle Ball, also on Broadway, and my early evening viewing of Into Thin Air at the Strab Action Lab. Then I've also got a lot to talk about when it comes to Lil's Lights Camera Action. So let's dive right in. So a few weeks ago, thanks to the generosity of my NYC foster mom, Linda, I got a ticket to see the Rocky Horror Show on Broadway. She treated me for my birthday. Now, Rocky Horror is the original stage musical from the 1970s, which is an homage to B movies, which was quickly followed up by the 1975 movie version, which is called the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which many of you may know is a cult classic show that everybody loves for its music and its depiction of queer life and gothic rock comedy. The movie has developed a cult status where it has legions of fans, and many of these people go to midnight screenings of Rocky Horror Picture Show, and they know every line of dialogue word for word. And there's like kind of this callback thing that they do where they interject into the movie at certain points. Like every time the male lead comes out, they call him an asshole. Every time the female lead comes out, they call her a slut. So I went into the Broadway show expecting some of this. I actually went to the night of the free preview. So as you can imagine, there was tons of Rocky Horror heads there, people in costumes from the show, makeup. I knew it was going to be fun. But what I didn't expect was for the audience to be so participatory and yelling out and doing callbacks all through the show. It was pretty annoying to begin with, but then I just kind of leaned into it and had fun. And for those of you who don't know, it's about a newly engaged couple who show up at this castle run by this, as they call him, transvestite from Transylvania named Frankenfurter and his gang of merry compatriots, and the couple is just trying to navigate their way through this unusual circumstance, and it's really fun. Yeah, like I said, it's a tribute to B movie, so it's definitely very campy and kitschy. Playing Frankenfurter, who was played by Tim Curry in the original movie, who did a great job. This time we have Luke Evans in the Broadway production, and he kills it. Like, his voice is so good. He commands the stage every time he comes out. He looks really good in a thong and platin leather high boots. Like, just kills it. Like, he was just having so much fun with the role too. I definitely predict a Tony nomination for him come this summer. So yeah, like I said, there was lots of audience participation, and it felt to me at times like many of the players were kind of thrown off by that or weren't expecting it, which I was a little surprised by because that's what the Rocky Horror Midnight Showings are known for. The only person who was prepared and was able to adjust easily to all that audience participation was Rachel Drash, who played the narrator, and she did an excellent job as well. But she was able to take the appropriate pauses so the fans could interject. She was playing along and just going with it. She did a great job. I remember when I saw a revival of Rocky Horror back in 2000. I don't remember everybody who was in it, but I think Alice Ripley was in it. And it became this thing with the narrator where they had a rotating cast of celebrity narrators. I saw Dick Cavett the night I went, but they also had like Jerry Springer do it one time, Sally Jesse Raphael. It was a weird mix. So I don't know if they're going to do that with this production. I'm pretty sure it's a limited run. Also pretty sure it'll get extended. It's currently running until July 19th. So I say definitely see it if you can. And I give it a Lil's letter grade of a B+. So I did hear from others who went to the show after the first preview night where I went that a lot of the audience participation calmed down. So now I guess it'll be more like your traditional theater going experience. But I'm sure there'll still be some rowdy fans in the audience here and there. And like I said, it's a really good time on Broadway. Now I'm going to talk about an even better time you can have on Broadway. Possibly the best time you can have on Broadway. It certainly was the best time I've had at the theater since I first saw the show downtown last year. The musical is called Cats, the Jellicle Ball, and it is amazing. Now, let me tell you, last year when it was first coming out, I was like, ugh, Cats. Who wants to see that? No, awful, icky poo poo. Because, like, I honestly hate Cats, the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical. It's just stupid. It makes no sense. It's just, you're really going to see it just for the dance. The music is not great. It's based off of like these T.S. Eliot poems about cats. So that's kind of weird. Though I love T.S. Eliot. Like, he's like one of the few poets I actually like and kind of understand. But why that? Anyway, so I was really anti it. But then Ray saw it and he was like, you have to see this. And I was like, do I? I don't think so. I hate cats. He was like, no, you have to see this. So I was like, oh, okay. Begrudgingly, I went, with my guard up and my expectations low. But let me tell you, it was one of the best theatrical experiences I've ever had. It's what Cats should have always been. It totally makes sense in the context of the music and whatever little story that there is, because what it's done is has taken Cats and it has put it into the queer ballroom dance scene, and it is amazing. I'm telling you, it's what Cats should have always been. So you have the different cats coming through, telling their stories, talking about their personalities, but they're all doing it with this runway voguing choreography and death drops and splits and just syncopated dancing, and it's just amazing. The singing is really good. It's on point. I can't say enough good things about it. I was a little nervous when they moved it to Broadway because I don't know if they're gonna, Broadwayfy it, clean it up some way. And also just, it was so perfect in that space downtown at Pac NYC, where they had the long runway going down the middle of the theater, cabaret tables around it. It was a really nice setup. So I was confused and curious about how it would translate to a Broadway house, but they still did a fairly good job. Still not perfect. It really needs its own special kind of space, but they made it work. Some sightlines are better than others. I'd say you have to be in one of the balcony seats. I'm sure those are pretty expensive. Or maybe the risers on the left and right of the stage, or like in a high mezzanine seat to really get the full effect. But they did a great job making full use of the space. You had the dancers in the balcony seats with those people who were sitting there, here, there, and everywhere in the aisles. So they did a good job. It was a little distracting at times, but I always appreciate when they make full use of the set. The lighting was good at spotlighting the different people at different times. Sometimes it felt a little chaotic, but I didn't mind it. Everybody was really in good voice. It's really an ensemble piece, but if I'm going to say there's a star, the star of the show is Andrea Shields, who plays Old Deuteronomy and comes out in this fierce, huge gray wig and these beautiful, well-tailored, well-designed purple ensembles that look really rich. The costuming, at some points, it looks like a little homemade, but that's what a lot of drag and ballroom looks were back in the day. Like, these people really did have to make their outfits from whatever available materials they had. So it was a good mix of that, but then also like things like when Grisabella comes out in her finery at the end. And like I said, Andre de Shield's costumes, those look really rich and luxe and well designed. So I could maybe see a best costume design nomination for them. If they don't get nominated for best choreography, I will rage because that is an absolute must. I'm still not exactly sure what category they're going to be nominated in for the show. I mean, technically it is a revival because it is all the same music, and I've heard the book is pretty much the same, but they've just reinvented it so much that it feels like a new show, you know? But I guess they'll be nominated in revival. The audience gets full into it. Everybody's clapping their fans, flapping their fans. What's also really special about it is they have these judges come host the runway performances. And the night I went, our special celebrity judges were Lin-Manuel Miranda and Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber. So that was pretty cool. The crowd went crazy. I was crazy. And then they set them up at the back of the stage to adjudicate the proceedings. So that was a little distracting for me because, like, for that portion of the show when they were on, I was looking mostly at Lin-Manuel and AL Dubs to see what their reaction was. They should have maybe dimmed the lights on them a little bit so people didn't focus on them as much. Thankfully, they weren't on stage the whole time because otherwise that would have really distracted me. Let me tell you guys, this is a must-see. It is the most fun you're going to have on Broadway. It's something to remember. I'm telling you, even if you're not a Cats fan like I was, or if you saw that horrible, horrible 2019 movie version, oh God, horrible. Put that to the side. And know that this is going to be an amazing experience. So I suggest you see it. I think it's an open run. I could see it running for a long time. Cats Jellicle Ball, Lil's letter grade of an A+. My last left stage with Lil show is Into Thin Air from Elizabeth Streb's company, appropriately named Streb. On a early Saturday evening, I made my way over to Williamsburg to the Streb Action Lab to see their latest show, and it was everything I've come to expect from a Streb show: entertaining, horrifying, death-defying, all that stuff. If you don't know Streb, Elizabeth Streb is the founding artistic director of the company. She's MacArthur Award-winning choreographer, but she doesn't even really describe herself as a choreographer. She calls herself an action maverick, or I think maybe she's also called herself an action architect, because what she's really interested in is not so much the beauty, the technicality of dance, but she looks at it through a lens of physics and trying to push the human body as close to its boundaries as you can possibly get. The dance that she does is a mixture of dance, acrobatics, circus acts, gymnastics, everything. It's beautiful and breathtaking and exciting to watch. To be a Streb dancer, you have to be really, really tough and unafraid. A strong core is an absolute must, and it also is really helpful if you have great upper body strength. The dancers do things like jumping from a trampoline to monkey bars above their heads, jumping from tall heights onto foam mats. One piece that they do nearly every time that also makes me freak out every time is they have this rotating steel beam that's circling round and around and around. And the dancers are following it or stopping right in front of it and then falling within inches of getting hit by the steel beam. It is thrilling, but horrifying. The women next to me were screaming the whole time. Sometimes you can't look because it's so distressing. I don't know how they do it, how they time it perfectly, that nobody ever gets hurt that I've seen. I'm sure maybe some people have gotten hurt in rehearsal. I don't know. I don't know what kind of insurance they have, if they're able to get insured. But it really is like some literally death-defying stunts. Watching them is like kind of like when you're watching a horror movie and you're scared that something bad is going to happen. But even if something bad happens, you know it's okay because it's fake. Here, something bad could happen and it could be really bad. It could result in somebody having a serious injury. Anyway, they do classes and parties for kids. So if you're ever looking for something fun to do with your young ones, or if you want to catch the show, check out streb.org to see what they have upcoming. This current show runs until May 3rd, and I give it a Lil's letter grade of a B. Now it's time for Lil's Lights Camera Action. There's a handful of movies I've seen recently that have ranged from just okay or pretty great to very well done. Before I talk about them, I want to talk about the trailer that I saw before one of the movies for Christopher Nolan's upcoming film version of The Odyssey. Now, in this trailer, they did something very unusual. It wasn't the usual clips with a voiceover from that guy with the deep voice. What they actually showed was almost a full scene of the movie, and one of the most pivotal scenes of the movie when the Greeks enter the gates of Troy hidden in the Trojan horse. I was confused about why they would want to show the scene, which is like almost the climax of the story in some ways, but I was completely enthralled as I watched it. It's filmed for IMAX, so I'm definitely going to see it at IMAX. It's going to be an epic. I think it's going to be over 3 hours. All-star cast: Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, Lupita Nyong'o, Zendaya, Charlize Theron, Don Berthel. Again, I don't know how he keeps getting into these movies because he's not that great of an actor, but he must have a really good agent or something. Anyway, really looking forward to it. You know I love a Chris Nolan movie. I'm so excited. The first movie I'll talk about is The Testament of Ann Lee, starring Amanda Seyfried as Ann Lee, the founder of the Shaker religion. Shakers are kind of an offshoot of Quakers, but a lot of their tenets are focused on the power of confession. They also abhor or anything sexual, which makes it clear as to why there's not that many Shakers around nowadays. I think a lot of the children that they had in their fold back in the 17th century were foundlings and orphans left at their doors. But yeah, if you have a religion that doesn't really believe in sex, it's not gonna last very long. Anyway, they're also known for the dancing that they do during their worship, hence the name Shakers. They're also known for their really sleek, simple, beautiful furniture that they made. So Amanda plays Ann Lee, and this is how she becomes one of the founders of this religion, one of the few women to be a religious figure in that time. It shows how she starts the religion in England and they bring it to America. It's kind of billed also as a musical because they do this singing along with their dancing. So there is lots of music and song throughout. An interesting choreography. I don't know if it was true Shaker choreography. I'm assuming it's historically accurate, but I really don't know. The pacing is kind of slow. It's not super interesting. I feel like they could have made a better movie about the Shakers. But in all honesty, I would have actually preferred to see a documentary about the Shakers. I feel like that would have been more interesting and enlightening. One good thing about this movie is Amanda Seyfried's performance, which many people felt was snubbed for an Oscar nomination. I thought it was a really strong performance because it's a really hard role to play, but I don't feel like she was necessarily robbed of an Oscar. However, I will say that even though I didn't finish Song Sung Blue, that horrible Neil Diamond tribute band movie with Kate Hudson and Hugh Jackman, I could only make it through like the first 20 minutes. I can guarantee you that Amanda Seyfried's performance in Testament of Ann Lee was much better than what I saw Kate Hudson giving me in the Neil Diamond movie. So Amanda might not have been snubbed, but Kate definitely was not deserving of a spot. So I would have been okay if Amanda had taken that spot. It's currently streaming on Hulu. You don't have to run to see it. I give it a Lil's letter grade of a B minus. Next up, I saw Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, the sequel to the 2019 horror flick Ready or Not, starring Samara Weaving. This time in the sequel, along for the ride are Sarah Michelle Gellar, Sean Hennessy, Elijah Wood, Nestor Carbonell. Now, the first movie was excellent. The perfect amount of camp, gore, badass female energy with a kick-ass female lead who just really holds her own as these people are literally trying to kill her. It's about a bride who, on her wedding night, discovers that her groom's family is trying to kill her. So it ends really well. That one I definitely recommend you watch. But it was kind of wrapped up in a way that I wasn't really sure what they were going to do in the sequel. But it turns out it's actually a continuation of the story starting from where it left off at the end of the first movie. So it's just as campy, just as gory, but lacking a certain something that the first movie had. It's still a fun watch. It's currently in theaters right now, but I suggest you wait to see it when it's streaming. If you're a horror fan, this one's for you. The other horror movie I saw recently is called Forbidden Fruits, and it's a indie horror movie starring Lily Reinhart, Alexander Shipp, Victoria Pedretti, Lola Tung, and Emma Chamberlain, with a brief cameo from Gabrielle Union. The movie is kind of Heathers meets Mean Girls meets The Craft. It's about this young coven of witches who work in the mall and recruit an unsuspecting young girl who works at the pretzel store into their folds. It's really funny, campy to the max, and like I said, fully takes a page from the playbook of all those other movies. It's an homage to them, I'd say. Gets kind of gory towards the end, which was fine for me, but you might not be expecting it because the rest of the movie is not that violent. It's currently in theaters. I say once again, wait until streaming. If you're a horror fan, this one's for you. I give it a Lil's letter grade of a B minus. Now I'll end with the best movie I've seen recently, which is Project Hail Mary, starring my dear Ryan Gosling, who I have to say, after seeing this, has never made a bad movie. I can't think of one bad movie he's been in. I can think of the ones that I haven't seen that may be bad, like Drive or The Place Beyond the Pines. But everything else I've seen him in, he is just stellar. Half Nelson, La La Land, Blue Valentine, that's a particular favorite of mine. Lars and the Real Girl, another favorite. And in this movie, he's just as strong, just as charming, just as charismatic. It's about this science teacher who gets sent to outer space to save the world. And he befriends this alien, this rock formation alien creature, and they work together to save their worlds. It's funny, it's reminiscent of like an 80s throwback movie like E.T. or Flight of the Navigator. It's a good family friendly movie. They play with your emotions a little towards the end there, so I didn't appreciate that. But overall, it's a good time, and the ultimate ending is really good and sweet. And it's a good watch. It's currently in theaters. Go see it. I give it a Lil's letter grade of an A minus. Oh, I almost forgot. The last movie I'm going to talk about is one of the most highly anticipated movies of this year so far. It's the drama starring Robert Pattinson and Zendaya. Some of you may recall seeing the trailer last year and thinking, what the hell is this about? This movie looks cuckoo woo woo. But if you're like me, you're still intrigued enough to want to see it. It focuses around an engaged couple who are planning a wedding, and things go off the rails after the bride-to-be reveals a deep, dark secret. It's a dark comedy, fairly well written. The director, Christopher Borgli, is fairly new to filmmaking. His previous movie before this was Dream Scenario with Nicolas Cage, which is also kind of kooky, but an interesting premise. The drama is an interesting watch. I wouldn't say it's a perfect movie. I'd also say the twist that's in it is not that twisty or interesting to really back up or propel all the drama that it creates. Ha ha ha. But it's a fun watch. I love Zendaya because she's just so likable and smart in her interviews. But as an actress, I've always found her a little one dimensional. I don't see that much complexity and layers in her performance, but she has so much charm and charisma, you almost don't care. Robert Pattinson is doing his best performance of a goofy American and is charming in his own right. The most interesting performance to watch is actually from Alana Haim, singer and now actress Alana Haim of the band Haim. She plays the couple's acerbic friend, Rachel, who's the one that stirs up most of the drama and keeps things really interesting for the majority of the movie. It's currently in theaters. You don't have to rush to see it, but definitely check it out when it becomes available for streaming. So stream it, don't screen it. I give it a Lil's letter grade of a B minus. That's all for today. Come back next time for more Life with Lil. Ciao.